following voices are AI generated. We hope you enjoy the video.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Sonic, Amy, and Shadow again, but it's us 4Kids versions this time. We did a quick roundup of movies from 2004 and which ones were our favorites. Here on YouTube, we're gonna dive deeper into the movies that came out 20 years ago.
Yeah, 2004 was a really big year for our franchises. It's not just us hedgehogs this time, as we got two very special guests that aren't from Sonic. Please welcome the green ogre Shrek and the yellow underwater sponge, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Ahoy, landlubbers! I was left out from the TikTok chat of this topic, but since this video is longer and detailed, I am thrilled to be with you hedgehogs and ogre beings.
Hello, donkeys. I am honored to join this chat.
The Ogre and Sponge are good choices in guests because 2004 had to be their peak in popularity.
I agree. My second movie, Shrek 2, was the highest grossing film of that year, and it cemented my status as a pop culture icon.
And my first movie, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, was originally intended to be the series finale of my cartoon. It was a big deal for me and my friends.
Yeah, that was a pretty big deal, and it was a pretty good movie too.
Yeah, 2004 was a great year for all of us. We were all on top of the world. I remember it was the year we went to the theater on a regular basis. More than any other year besides 2019, but that's for another day.
And we had a lot of fun along the way. I remember bringing Rouge and Cream to have a couple of girls' nights to watch Mean Girls and Ella Enchanted in movie theaters.
I wouldn't trade those memories for anything, which is saying a lot coming from me.
You know, 2004 was a pretty tough year for sequels. There were a lot of big ones out there.
I remember it being a pretty competitive slate of films.
The most memorable and talked about movies of 2004 are Shrek 2, Spider-Man 2, The Passion of the Christ, Meet the Fockers, The Incredibles, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, The Day After Tomorrow, The Bourne Supremacy, National Treasure, and The Polar Express.
With the exception of The Day After Tomorrow and The Passion of the Christ. Those are all great movies. I've seen most of them with Rouge and Knuckles, and we love them all.
You got that right, Shadow. There was really something for everyone in 2004.
I especially loved the comedies and animated films that year. They were all so funny and heartwarming.
And the action movies were just as good. There were so many great stunts and special effects. Sure, some of them haven't aged well, but the early 2000s were delving into embracing CGI more than in the 90s. I think the biggest competition for Shrek 2 was probably either Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban or Spider-Man 2.
I also remember that detective dog Scooby-Doo having a sequel coming out that year as well.
Oh yeah, that was a guilty pleasure of a movie. The first movie was horse manure, but the second movie was an improvement as it tried to be more like the cartoons.
And of course, there was Spider-Man 2. Before we had Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland, we had good old Tobey Maguire.
That was another great sequel. It's actually my favorite Spider-Man movie, and maybe my favorite superhero movie besides the 2018 movie Into the Spider-Verse.
I think all of those sequels were pretty good. Sorry for being biased, but I think Shrek 2 was the best of the bunch.
I agree. It was a phenomenal follow-up to the already classic original Shrek movie.
And it was a huge box office success. It was the highest grossing film of that year.
So I guess you could say that 2004 was the king or queen of the early 2000s sequels. 2007 could be in second place, except the movies that year weren't as well received, but they were just as successful as 2004, nevertheless.
I'm not going to argue with you there, black and red donkey.
Well, I think all of those sequels were pretty good, but I'm glad that Shrek 2 came out on top. My sequel didn't come out until 11 years later.
Me too. Shrek 2 is a classic.
And it's a reminder of how great 2004 was for our franchises. We're all getting old, and so is our audience that grew up during that time.
Indeed, Pink Hedgehog. It was a year to remember.
Another great movie from 2004 that we can't leave out was The Incredibles. I love the animation and the superhero family theme. Maybe we should review that movie in the near future.
That's an awesome suggestion, my darling. I thought The Incredibles was one of the most original and creative superhero movies ever made, as well as one of Pixar's best movies.
I agree. It's definitely a classic, and that Frozone super suit scene still makes me crack a smile.
We talked about movies, but we gotta mention the theater experience and the times we watch the movies at home. We can't watch an awesome movie without food.
Oh, I love food! It's obvious that my Sonic loves chili dogs just as much as me.
Easy there, Amy. Your exciting squeaks could break windows, but anyway, there's nothing quite like a hot, juicy chili dog on a warm summer day. I would sometimes sneak a chili dog in the movie theater back then, but now, the theaters we go to actually serve chili dogs. How cool is that?
Not as cool as a piping hot cheese pizza, Blue Hedgehog. You should all know I'm more of a cheese pizza guy myself. I love a good cheese pizza, but on special occasions I go with an extra pepperoni pizza with bacon, peppers, and mushrooms.
I'm a bit more adventurous with my tastes. I love swamp cheesecake much like my SML self. It's a bit of an acquired taste, but once you try it, you'll never forget it. I do have to warn you that it'll give you the runs if you have a weak stomach.
I can't resist a good Krabby Patty. It's the perfect combination of savory and satisfaction. Just ask my best friend Patrick. He eats dozens of them.
I enjoy sweets like cake and ice cream, but when it comes to actual food, I love paninis. They're so versatile and customizable. You can put anything you want in them.
Well, it sounds like we all have our own unique tastes while enjoying a movie, but I think we can all agree that food is one of the great joys of life that complements our experience of watching a movie.
Indeed. And it's also fun to try new things and expand your culinary horizons, as well as watching new movies.
I agree. And who knows, you might just find your new favorite food in the process while seeing a new movie that associates with your new favorite food. Take me for example. I remember watching Batman Begins in 2005 at the movies while eating a gyro sandwich, and it was remarkable.
You donkeys better careful not to eat too much of your favorites. You might end up like me.
I think that's a good word of advice, Shrek. Moderation is key. If only Squidward listened to me when he ate all the Krabby Patties at the Patty Vault in the episode Just One Bite. He blew up like a big explosion after the patties went up his thighs.
So let's raise a glass to 2004, the great year in the 2000s. Sure, there are different opinions of which year is the best, but that's for you to put down in the comments, ladies and gentlemen.
Hear, hear, Sonic. Amen to that.
Let's give out a sweet cheers to 2004. Happy anniversary to all the best movies that year.
Aye, aye, Captains. Well, that should wrap up the video. In the near future, we'll be making more reviews of the movies.
And remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
And don't forget to click on the bell so you cannot miss new videos.
Stay tuned for more new videos.
And spread the word.
And follow us on TikTok.
Now, whose turn it is to say it?
I will say it. Peace out and rock on.
Thank God I wasn't in this chat. I'm still bitter of 2004 being my last year being in the games before the 4Kids cast replaced me and the rest of the Adventure era cast. Also, not every movie in 2004 was perfect. There were god-awful movies like Garfield, Christmas with the Cranks, the second Baby Geniuses movie, the second Agent Cody Banks movie, Shark Tale, and the worst of it all, Catwoman, but the one movie I personally hated the most was White Chicks. Everyone couldn't shut up about that poorly aged gender and race-swapping comedy. These hedgehogs, Ogre, and Sponge always ignore the bad, but I'll let them be. For real this time, peace out, and rock on.